News360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Tonight, Minister Designate. Well, news we have just coming in is that John Dramani Mahama has been petitioned to remove EC Chairperson Jean Mensah from office for alleged misbehavior and incompetence. We have details of that coming up.
Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources maintains government is determined to end illegal mining with a new non-partisan approach.
And also coming up this evening, new faces, new energy. Ministers and agency heads taking office and announce plans to help President John Mahama achieve his Reset in Ghana agenda. Details also coming up.
In business news, Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana maintains key lending rates to commercial banks at 27%, citing upside risk to inflation.
And on the international front, Donald Trump's promise to the American people to deport illegal immigrants in the United States still underway, although there are some reservations about it. Details coming up. Let's settle for the details of our stories, and we also live around the world on 3news.com. That's our website. Let's hear from you. What do you make of the many stories we have for you tonight?
We start from news coming in, and John Dramani Mahama has been petitioned to remove the EC chairperson Jean Mensah from office for alleged misbehavior and incompetence. The petition is also asking for the removal of her 2 deputies and a member of the commission. Let's walk you through what we know about the petition so far. John Mahama petitioned to remove EC officials from office. And these are the affected officials. That's the EC chairperson Jean Mensah, the deputy chairperson Dr. Eric Bosman-Asari, deputy chairperson Samuel Tete, as well as a member of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Peter Apiahene. And a petition has been brought in to remove these affected officials from position or in office. And these are the allegations leveled against them. The first one is a breach of human rights, that's the SAL issue, abuse of discretionary power and bias.
Let's go on to some other stories now. And Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofiboa, maintains that government is determined to end illegal mining in the country. He argues that the approach will be non-partisan and inclusive, with new measures to deal with the age-long challenge. He has been speaking about other issues relating to land acquisition and claims that politically connected persons are acquiring such assets at very cheap prices. So before we bring you some specifics of what exactly he's been saying, let's listen to some of the key issues he raised before the Appointments Committee.
To heal the wounds of our country. Our country is bleeding. Our forest, that is really at the heart and soul of our survivor, has been completely devastated, damaged. And don't take my words for it. This is what the NDC intends to do. We are bringing 3 great initiatives. The Blue Water Initiative, which seeks to heal and harness the environment by turning areas degraded by illegal mining into hubs of economic and ecological recovery. That's what we are going to do. We are also going to do Tree for Life initiative. Reforestation will be intensified. We are not only going to focus reforestation only in the forest, we are also going to encourage afforestation across the country. Chairman, you know, we are going to really push for another policy of restore Ghana to deal with the issue of Galamsey impacted lands and water bodies through a comprehensive land and water-based rehabilitation. These are things we are going to do to really address all the damage and heal the wounds. In the meantime, as we are doing that, we are going to make sure LI 2462 is no more, so that we can stop any further mining in forest reserve, and that's exactly what we will do.
Right, so let's, so it was quite a lengthy session with the Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources and also the Appointments Committee. Let's walk you through some of the highlights of the key issues he touched on. But the individuals on your screens are those that have gone through vetting today. There were 4 in all, 1 minister and then 3 regional ministers. We also do recall that the most topical conversation during the vetting was that of illegal mining and Galamsey. So shortly, we'll try and pick the thoughts of one of the CSOs that have been advocating for a review of how the country has been handling issues of Galamsey and whether or not the approach put forward by the Minister Designate is feasible and in helping the country fight the canker. Joining us via phone now is Daryl Bosu, who is with Arocha Ghana. Mr. Bosu, good evening. Thank you for joining us on TV3. Right, Mr. Bosu, thank you for joining us. To start with, I'm sure you can hear me. I would want to, first of all, pick your thoughts on some of the answers given by the Minister Designate with particular reference to issues of Galamsey. You know that it was quite a national issue and then it was brought to the Appointments Committee's attention. So the Minister Designate had to provide some answers. Before you even come in though, let's walk our viewers through other key issues that he touched on. So for instance, he says it is fundamental, it's fundamentally wrong for high-profile individuals to acquire state lands, especially under their own supervision. Lands acquired by the state should be repurposed transparently and only for the public good. He goes on to say we need to recategorize mining operations and streamline the process to eliminate inefficiencies. For example, one individual holding nearly 50 licenses should be classified as large scale, but loopholes have allowed such practices to persist. This must change. He says we have said that there will be no new mining activities in forest reserves. The intention is to amend LI 2462 to ensure the provision allowing for mining in reserves is removed. We in opposition then were strong on the issue of illegal mining. And so those are some of the words of Minister Designate for Lands, Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama-Kofi-Boa. Right, so now let's pick the thoughts of Daryl Bosu, who is with Arocha Ghana. Mr. Bosu, thank you for your time. I think we'll narrow it down specifically to concerns about illegal mining. The minister has been providing some answers. I'm sure you followed. He says it's going to be non-partisan and they are going to introduce new strategies in fighting illegal mining and the degradation of our forest and water bodies. What are your initial thoughts to the answers he provided?
I'm good evening to you and thank you very much. I certainly agree with you. I mean, the issue of Galamsey and illegal mining should be approached from a non-partisan angle. And it is good to hear the Minister Designate talk about their commitment to addressing it. I am particularly keen on getting to know what new strategy he's thinking of coming up with, aside the need for us to ensure that compliance is top of the agenda. Because if you look at the issues we confronted over the years, it's just a matter of people not complying with the existing regulations. People are giving concessions to mine in a particular area. They don't work as they should. And then also there's also been the abuses of the licenses that have been granted. We grant permits to people who are politically connected and not really working according to merit-based approach. All of these are some of the concerns that have been the bane of the fight against Galamsey. So I think it's good to hear him say that. And I know that Honorable Boa himself, before he became an MP and got appointed, was designated for this position, he's been a stout advocate against Galamsey. I saw how he actively fought against Galamsey in his constituency. So I'm really keen to see him bring the same energy, the same commitment to the position he is about to take and see how we can also contribute to assisting that role.
Right, Mr. Bosu, you are one of the key individuals who've been at the forefront of asking for a national action plan in dealing with Galamsey. Talk is cheap. This is not going to be the first minister who's promised publicly that they're going to fight illegal mining. He's new, yes, but with the strategies he's outlined, are they feasible? Should we be having a more national conversation in tackling it, or we just wait to see what the minister will do, then we rally behind him? How do we approach this?
I agree with you. There have been several calls for a more concerted effort from the national level involving all stakeholders. But at the moment, I don't think that the way to go is setting up, coming up with other national consultative meetings and all of that. What we need is having a very tactful, decisive strategy in place. That, of course, needs putting a few people together to get that done. But what is of utmost important is the fact that when these strategies are outlined, the government will take it and work with it. Usually that is where we all get disappointed because the plan is very clear. We know what needs to be done. We know how the enforcement should go. We know how licenses should be given. And there's always political interference or inaction from the political actors. So we always fall short of really achieving our intended goals. So this is, for me, the biggest challenge. And it's not about going around and then shooting against consultative meetings and all of that. We know what the problem is. We are just refusing to do exactly what needs to be done.
Mr. Bosu, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Daryl Bosu is with Arocha Ghana, an environmental NGO.
Let's go to the Ashanti region, and though government has initiated investigation into circumstances that led to the shooting and killing of 9 miners in Obuasi, the artisanal small-scale miners in the area are demanding swift action to de-escalate rising tensions. The miners also called on mining firm AngloGold Ashanti to adhere to the directives of government to sort out the medical bills of the injured and cater for the burial of the deceased.
Inside the mine, there's no corner, there's nowhere that they don't mount CCTV cameras. And that said black night we are talking of, there was drones.
Right, so you're still watching News360 on TV3. Let's go on to some other stories. The Aowin Traditional Council is accusing its Member of Parliament, Oscar Ofori-Labi, of being involved in illegal mining operations in the Tano and Ria Forest Reserve. It has called on stakeholders to collaborate to stop the destruction of the forest. This call to action comes after a deadly clash between 2 illegal mining groups, which resulted in 2 fatalities and several injuries. There's more in this report by Irama Smith.
The Aowin Traditional Council on Monday held a news conference urging Lands and Natural Resources Minister-designate Emmanuel Ama-Kofi-Boa to protect the Tano and Ria Forest Reserve, which has been infiltrated by illegal miners despite a ban on such activities by the Traditional Council. It accuses the MP for the area, Oscar Ofori-Labi, of involvement, alleging that he formed a Galamsey squad and hired thugs from northern Ghana to work on his behalf after the NDC success in the 2024 elections.
So when Nananom had this issue, we called Labi. Labi could not come. So Ked, who is a special assistant to Labi, came to the palace, telling us that all those activities going on, the power that the authority that he had was from Labi. And those that squad, Karim, Farouk, Baron, they were those people who are working in the forest. They are working in the forest. And whenever you ask them, they will tell you it's Oscar Ofori-Labi, who is the MP, whom they are doing that work for.
According to the Traditional Council, Oscar Ofori-Labi has ignored their calls to address these concerns, prompting them to call on the regional executives of the National Democratic Congress to intervene. However, the MP reportedly responded with abuse. The council also accuses him of collecting 200,000 cedis entry fee from groups to enter the forest reserve.
As we speak, Honorable Labi has never honored our invitation to meet with Nananum. Nananum engaged diplomatically with the regional executives of the NDC to call Labi to order, but he abused them. He went ahead and collected 200,000 entry fee for groups to enter our forest. Consequently, Nananum has no choice than to write to the Ghana Catholic Bishop on the 20th to help appeal to the government to stop Labi and his gang from these notorious activities.
The Traditional Council is calling for a joint effort from the government, Forestry Commission, media outlets, and all security agencies to stop the destruction of the Aowin Forest Reserve and protect the environment.
So now we want to appeal to the government through Forestry Commission with all the necessary institutions to come to our aid so that the forest could be protected for us.
Eroma Smith, TV3 News, Aowin.
Right, let's speak to the Member of Parliament who's come under fire from the traditional authorities in Aowin. Oscar Ofosulabi is MP for Aowin. He's joined us by phone. Honorable, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin.
Right, these are very serious allegations brought against you by the Traditional Council that you are involved in illegal mining in the Aowin forest. How do you respond to this?
Thank you, Martin, for giving me the opportunity, and good evening to your listeners and all viewers. Yes, what they are saying is blatantly not true. It is false. It's a calculated attempt to tarnish my image. Martin, the northerners they are claiming, the traditional authorities are claiming I have brought people from the north to come and do illegal mining. After this report, I will be vindicated. Because this group are party members, and they were introduced to this task force of illegal mining by the same traditional authorities. Yes.
How do you mean? So, wait. Honorable, let's take it slowly so that all our viewers and listeners can follow. You are accused of, in fact, putting together a group that undertakes the illegal mining on your behalf. And you are saying that the names they mentioned are people whom you know, but they were introduced to a task force by the traditional authorities. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly so.
How so? So these are your men, but...
Come again?
These are your men who are being co-opted to undertake the illegality by the traditional authorities?
Yes. That's why I'm saying they are party members. They are not people who have come from northern just because of that. They are residents of the place. They have their families there. And they are the task force of the Traditional Council, the Paramountcy. They have introduced the Galamsey activities to these men as the Paramountcy task force.
Okay.
So, if I am engaged in illegal activity, why will I bring the 2BN to sack the Galamseyers from their site? On the 12th of January, I engaged the 2BN to bring men to Enchi to sack the Galamseyers from the forest reserve. They started operation on the 13th, 14th, and ended on the 17th. So can you imagine from 17th to date, can miners deplete the Tanzania forest that they are claiming I am behind it? This is not the Erastus, the operations Erastus did. Was it not about Tanzania Forest Reserve? It was before the assumed office.
Right.
So it wasn't that Tanzania Forest is being depleted just in this 1 month that we have assumed office.
Okay. Honorable, two questions. So you agree that illegal mining is happening in your constituency, the Aowin forest area. Is that the case? You agree that something like that is happening?
Exactly so. That is why I brought in the 2 billion.
Right. And why are you refusing to appear before the Traditional Council, who, just like you, are hoping to deal with this canker? Why don't you want to work with them? They've called you a number of times, but you don't want to appear. Why?
The day they called me, I was on admission in Enchi. They are aware of it. So they handed the case over to Nanot Kaba, one of our chiefs, to liaise with me so that anytime the time is due, he will come with me. When I regained, my health issues, I came back and the chief had traveled to Accra. When I came to Accra, he was in Enchi. So it is through the chief that I will respond to that call they made to me. But since then, both of us, because of the work, I'm in Accra, he will be in Enchi. When I get the opportunity to go to Enchi, he is in Accra.
Okay.
So it is not the point that I'm refusing their call.
Okay. And finally, clearly there is a problem that collectively, in fact, the minister for the sector is also from the region. So what do we do next? Or what is the next line of approach from your side, especially?
I am happy the minister said they are going to revoke that act that allow miners to enter the forest. Because the Tanzania, as we claim, is a reserve, all right. But there is a concessionaire who claims that is his concession. Meanwhile, it is a forest. So the act that gave that powers to the Forestry Commission to give them entry permit is in force. So somebody is claiming that is his concession.
Right.
There is a company claiming that is his concession.
Okay.
With documentation.
So
we don't know which is which. So I support the call by the minister designate to make sure we amend that act that allows them to enter the forest.
All right. Thank you so much. And as a subject, I would also be keeping close eyes on MP for Aowin, Oscar Ofori Labi there.
In more news tonight, the finance minister says government hopes to deal with illicit smuggling of gold to ensure full value for Ghana's resources. A technical committee has been tasked to develop the framework for the Gold Board to serve as the agency for marketing of Ghana's gold resources.
Ghana in 2024 exported some $5 billion worth of gold from small-scale miners in the country. The figure, despite being encouraging, is half of the nation's potential. Finance Minister Dr. Keswa Tofosun, who inaugurated a 19-member technical committee, tasked the members to see to the realization of its vision to stabilize the city.
Numerous individuals and Ghanaians and foreign agencies, including foreign companies with export licenses, are buying gold from other sources without going through the approved routes. This fragmented, uncoordinated, and unregulated system has led to a widespread gold smuggling and deprived the state of much-needed foreign exchange. To address these issues, the Ghana Gold Board will be mandated to regulate and streamline the gold sector, particularly the small-scale gold.
The acting CEO of the Precious Mining and Minerals Company and member of the Gold Board, Sami Jemfi, pledged commitment to fulfilling the vision of President Mahama.
I believe that the members of the committee who have been assembled and tasked to produce a proposed bill for the establishment of the Gold Board have the experience and the expertise to produce a legal framework and an operational framework that is fit for purpose and that can deliver the outcomes that His Excellency and your good self, have for this institution.
The Gold Board is expected to significantly enhance Ghana's gold trading capacity, solidifying the nation's position in the global mineral markets.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has urged African countries to be more efficient in delivering development through good governance and accountability. He made this call during a high-level meeting with leaders on the continent in Nairobi, Kenya. A report by presidential correspondent Komla Kluche from Nairobi, Kenya.
President Mahama arrived at the State House in Nairobi for the all-important reforms meeting within the African Union Commission. William Ruto, the president of Kenya, welcomed him with the expectation to tap from his wealth of experience as a respected leader on the continent to assist in his drive. Six countries on the continent are leading the retreat that is expected to change the face of the continent's political grouping. Ghana, Kenya, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Comoros, Togo, and a rep from Mauritania have attended, an idea that was mooted as far back as 2016. Several leaders have had a bite at reforming the African Union Commission. William Ruto has been tasked with the responsibility of providing political leadership.
The road ahead demands bold leadership and unwavering commitment. Given that the implementation of the reform priorities is a political process, it is my view that execution should continue to be guided at the level of heads of state and government.
On conflict resolution alone, over $18 billion is spent on ensuring peace and stability. In his welcome address, he proposed a three-point approach.
The formation of a committee of heads of state and government of the African Union on AU reform to oversee this process. I'm also requesting that we consider the possibility of convening an extraordinary summit of heads of state of government later this year. I will be recommending for your consideration a revised format that includes a high-level opening session followed by a dedicated session for national statements by heads of state and government focused exclusively on the three agenda items. Each one of us will be allocated between 7 and 10 minutes to address any of the items, ensuring precision and focus.
The reforms involve revitalizing the structure, functioning, and focus of the African Union Commission, the AU organs, and specialized agencies. To attain these reforms, the need for inclusivity has been advanced with a radical approach. For Ghana's head of state, John Mahama, there must be a streamlining of the whole African Union architecture that seeks to benefit the citizens of member countries.
Efficiency must be the guiding principle in how we conduct our affairs, ensuring that our policies and programs translate into real change for our people. We must adopt mechanisms that prioritize accountability, transparency, and value for money, ensuring that every resource is maximized for the benefit of the African people.
The AU's financing remains a major worry for the President, John Mahama.
The over-reliance on external partners for funding compromises the organization's independence and ability to set its own agenda. The implementation of the Kigali decision on financing the Union must be expedited. A self-reliant African Union is not just a vision we have, it is an imperative to achieve.
On conflict resolution, John Mahama made his position known on the African Standby Force.
To achieve a conflict-free Africa, we must strengthen the African Standby Force and enhance our collaboration with regional economic communities. A well-coordinated and responsive security mechanism will allow us to address conflicts swiftly without over-reliance on external actors. Together, we can build an Africa that is resilient, prosperous, and united in its pursuit of sustainable development and lasting peace.
The President of Kenya, William Ruto, will make a final presentation of a report on these reforms during the 38th ordinary session of the African Union General Assembly scheduled for February 15th to 16th, 2025 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, State House, Nairobi, Kenya.
Back here in Ghana, the acting chief executive officer of the Youth Employment Agency, Malik Basintali, has promised sustainable jobs for the Ghanaian youth. On his first day in office, he said targeted models under the YEA will be embedded in the 24-hour economy drive to achieve the president's ambitions.
Even before his arrival, the premises of the Youth Employment Agency was full of pomp and pageantry. Hundreds of party foot soldiers, many on motorbikes, could not hold their excitement for Malik Basintali's entrance. The anticipation was over, and Malik Basintali made his grand entry through the cheerful crowd, the cameras, the sea of people, and everything made the moment sensational. He was ushered into the office where a brief management meeting took place to formally hand over records.
Everything about the agency, you have it in here. We pray it guides you and also gives you a fair idea of what you are taking over from. Thank you, my brother.
Malik Basintali had a simple message, a pledge to create opportunities and empower Ghanaian youth through job creation. Though his first day, he wasted no time in setting the tone for the task.
Our aim is to create sustainable jobs for Ghanaians. Our aim is to create a skill that will transition the Ghanaian youth into creating their own jobs and employing other Ghanaians. And so it's a help me, I help you situation. We are going to do a lot. And I think that I told them that anybody who thinks that coming here is to make money should resign today, because it's my interest that by the end of our 4 years, we should be able to reduce the unemployment situation drastically. Unemployment is gradually becoming a national security threat in this country.
According to Basintali, civil servants working at YEA should not panic but collaborate with him in achieving their collective goals.
I told them not to have any cause for alarm. I've heard a lot of things in the public space, but I intend forging ahead. The first thing is to coordinate with the framework developers of the 24-hour economy and to put a lot of our models on a 24-hour shift.
There are some who have raised questions around your qualification and all of that. How do you respond to them, especially around your master's degree and all of that?
The biggest qualification is to create jobs for the Ghanaian people. Once we do that, I'm qualified to keep serving the Ghanaian people.
The party foot soldiers turned up in droves upon the invitation of the acting CEO.
In all of this, one of the key concerns for many Ghanaians is the forceful takeovers of ministries, agencies and the likes whenever there is a transition of power. This is not the first time we are seeing it. Some 8 years ago, similar things happened, which raises questions around the long-held winner-takes-all mentality. Christian Yali, TV3 News, Accra.
Right, and he's not just the only government official or appointee who's taken office. Many others have also taken office. However, some people are under threat of likely losing the positions they hold. One or case in point is a petition to President John Dramani Mahama, where they're asking, or the petitioner is asking the president to initiate processes to remove the chair of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jean Mensah, and her deputies, Dr. Eric Bosman-Asare, Samuel Tete, and also Dr. Peter Apiahene. And the reasons why they are asking them to be removed include issues of incompetence and also bias. And the bias actually hovers around the head of the last gentleman on your screens, who is Dr. Peter Apiahene, whom even before his appointment had been accused of being a member of the NPP, a known party person going into a position of election management. So we'll see how all of this plays out, especially when the president does return to the Republic.
We have business news coming up shortly. Don't go away.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has 2 of nature's powerful whitening ingredients with the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence. It removes stains and whitens teeth.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN,
West Hills Ridge Property, Eden Heights.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has maintained its key lending rate to commercial banks at 27% to anchor inflation. This was announced by the committee's chair and governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, at the press briefing for the 122nd MPC meetings in Accra.
The Monetary Policy Committee ended the year 2024 maintaining the policy rate at 27% due to upside risks to inflation. Speaking at the press conference, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the challenges of inflation is under control, with the disinflation process recorded in first half of 2024 to resume in the outlook for 2025.
Parameters under the IMF program, and given that those parameters are respected, one can confidently say that the inflation profile would be close to what forecasters are saying. I think this is the most important message from this MPC discussions, and the reason why the policy rate is being kept where it is for now.
Dr. Ernest Addison has, however, cautioned that inflation profile remains elevated, largely driven by food price movements in 2024. According to him, the prolonged drought in some parts of the food-growing regions of the country negatively affected production, while supply chain weaknesses generally affected food prices.
The increased prices in the food sector were largely attributable to dry weather conditions experienced in the earlier parts of the year, which adversely affected harvest yields. In contrast to food inflation, non-food inflation declined steadily during the last quarter of the year.
The 122nd MPC press briefing was held at the Bank of Ghana's newly built head office, the Bank Square. Journalists were given the rare opportunity to tour the state-of-the-art edifice.
Now, the National Economic Dialogue Planning Committee has assured that it will work assiduously to bring about the necessary reforms to transform Ghana's economy. This comes after President Mahama announced a 7-member committee chaired by Dr. Ismail Yamson to develop a comprehensive plan for the National Economic Dialogue in line with his 120-day social contract pledged to Ghanaians.
The 7-member committee announced by the government will convene a national economic dialogue aimed at addressing the country's pressing economic challenges. It will create a platform for stakeholders to discuss policy trade-offs and build consensus on reforms needed to transform Ghana into a high-growth, inclusive and resilient economy. The committee is also tasked with communicating the true state of Ghana's economy to stakeholders and the people of Ghana, developing a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the national budget, and highlighting key structural reforms and policy priorities essential for resetting the economy. A mandate that Professor Gachi, a member of the committee, says will be executed with professionalism.
We will discharge our duty as professionally as possible. We will discharge our duties with the kind of humility that is needed. And we will discharge our duty bearing in mind that it's a privilege to serve in this committee.
He emphasized that the policy frameworks developed will have a broad consultative nature, transcending the current administration.
Even though this is not a national development plan, but you see that the processes involved in developing a national plan are the same processes that are inherent in the national dialogue. You bring issues out, people bring their views, how they want those issues to be addressed, and then those issues are validated. There are plenary sessions that you provided to the people to discuss. Cross-fertilization of ideas are enhanced.
Now, the acting CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has assured Ghanaians of the authority's unwavering commitment to delivering cheaper, reliable and quality fuel. Speaking on his first day in office, he emphasized that government is exploring all avenues towards reducing the cost of petroleum products while ensuring strict adherence to industry standards.
The newly appointed acting CEO of the National Petroleum Authority on his first day pledged to align his leadership with President John Dramani Mahama's vision for Ghana. He emphasized his personal philosophy of teamwork, promising to work in tandem with the president's broader goals and his campaign promise to reset key factors including the downstream petroleum industry.
I have a personal philosophy of teamwork. The person with priority in this whole enterprise is the president's vision for Ghana and his campaign promise to reset everything, including the downstream sector. I can assure you of one thing: fairness.
Lawyer Tamaklo added he is committed to engineering innovative strategies aimed at elevating the authority to new heights. With a clear focus on results, he promised to drive the change needed to transform the petroleum sector and deliver impactful progress.
It's not going to be business as usual. That I promise. But whatever will happen would ultimately be engineered towards elevating the authority to the next level. When HE, the president, gave me my instrument of appointment, he said, Eduji, it is not going to be business as usual. No.
He has meanwhile assured of ensuring affordable and quality fuel for Ghanaians.
What I can assure the good people of this country is that at the end, Ghanaians will be pleased with cheaper fuel, quality fuel. A whole team is together, exploring all avenues. We are doing everything, everything, to ensure that the price of petroleum products meets what our people can afford. The ordinary driver, households, I can assure you that President Mahama is determined to ensure that you get cheaper quality and reliable fuel.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu. Up next, the sports.
The wait is over. Season 2 of Top Intern is here, and the journey to find the next big star is already heating up. We called out to fresh graduates from top schools across the nation, and they answered in droves. This week, the competition kicks off with an intense aptitude test to challenge their mental sharpness, followed by face-to-face screens with our esteemed faculty. Who will make it to the final?
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. Now on to our first story. President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okraku, has announced his clearance to contest for a position on the Confederation of African Football Executive Committee. The announcement made via his Facebook page confirmed that he has successfully passed CAF's mandatory integrity test. Now Okraku, who is contesting unopposed on the ticket of the Wafu Zone B, is set to be confirmed as a CAF Executive Committee member during the elective congress scheduled for March 12, 2025 in Cairo, Egypt. Well, let's go on to beach soccer, where Haveti Mighty Warriors FC won 5-2 over Layoka to win the 2024 Beach Soccer Premier League at the Ada Beach Soccer Arena on Sunday. The Zone 2 winners lifted the championship for the second time in the club's history. The spotlight was firmly on Johnson, who delivered a sensational hat-trick, leading his team to a victory. Eric and Sosu Mauli added to the tally with 1 goal each, ensuring the Warriors' victory. Captain of the Black Sharks, Richard Osa and Charles Edu, were the scorers for Layoka. Chairman of the Ghana Beach Soccer, that is Yao Ampofo-Ankra, expressed his delight at the acceptance of the sport by coastal areas.
This is all, this is what it's about. So the most important thing is we've witnessed a really good final. We've got worthy winners and we want more, but we need more attention, more coverage and more, support for Ghana Beach Soccer. It has huge potential. It's a community. It's a fishing community, so they feel that it belongs to them. It is not us, it is for them. So they're very, very much, engaged in supporting their team.
Just a few minutes ago, the AFCON 2025 draw concluded, and Kwesi Appiah's Sudan national team have been placed in Group E alongside Algeria, Burkina Faso, and Equatorial Guinea. Host Morocco will battle Mali, Zambia, and Comoros, while the Group of Death, which will feature Egypt, South Africa, Angola, and Zimbabwe, is happening in Group B. Current champions Ivory Coast are in Group F alongside Cameroon, Gabon, and Mozambique. Ghana, again, will not participate in the competition for the first time in 2 decades. Now, that's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bilishen. Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by
Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, winner of the 2024 Ghana's Most Beautiful Pageant, Nihad Titiaka, who goes by the stage name Titiaka, has urged the youth in the Savannah region to prioritize climate actionable solutions to deal with the issues of climate change.
The beauty queen began her thank you tour of the Savannah region with a courtesy call on the king of Gonja Kingdom, Yagbonra B. Kunuto Jeuswale. Titiaka, while applauding the king and the people of Savannah region for their support during the competition, appealed to them to support her upcoming project on climate change.
To all the chiefs and queen mothers in the Savannah region and everyone in the Savannah region for their support and also making this dream a reality. Few months ago, we were here to seek for their support in order to get Savannah region its first ever Ghana's Most Beautiful crown. And by His grace and with their support, their votes and prayers, we were able to get the crown, the cash and the car. So it's only right that we come here to say thank you to everyone. And also, we'll be embarking on a project that will bring impact and development in the Savannah region. And this project is on climate action, and we'll be launching this project soon in order to make sure that we bring development and also create a sustainable society for everyone in Ghana, Savannah region, and beyond.
The Yagbonra, through his spokesperson, praised Titiaka for making the kingdom proud by winning the competition and promised his unflinching support for the beauty queen. From the Jakpa Palace, Queen Titiaka also visited some basic schools in the region where she donated educational materials to the pupils.
Gifts that she has donated to the school, that is the exercise books. The children are going to use it judiciously. And the project she's coming back to, together with the students and the teachers, we are going to support her massively.
She later paid a courtesy call on some paramount chiefs in the region and also interacted with the market women.
And that's it for the segment.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Time now for international news, which we'll be bringing to you shortly. But just by way of information, if you're just joining us, if you go to our website, 3news.com, you get details of all the stories we have for you this evening. We'll let you know what the news is, but let's find out what's happening on the international front first.
Nearly 1,000 immigration arrests were carried out on Sunday as U.S. President Donald Trump's promise of mass deportations ramps up. The sanctuary city of Chicago has been a focus of the raids, with Immigration and Customs Enforcement also targeting areas in Miami and New Jersey. The issue of immigration also caused a spat between Trump and the Colombian government after 2 U.S. military flights carrying deported migrants were barred from landing. The Trump administration threatened to slap tariffs on Colombian exports to the U.S., and the Colombian government later agreed to let the planes land. Rebels from the Congolese M23 movement say they have taken control of the eastern city of Goma following a lightning advance against the army. Heavy artillery and gunfire has been heard in the besieged city throughout the day. At least 13 foreign peacekeepers have been killed in clashes with the rebels. Fighting between the M23 and DR Congo's army has intensified since the start of the year, with the rebels seizing control of more territory than ever.
And that's it for our package. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the last hour. I am Martin Asiedu Date.
And I am Portia Gabodu. Join Alfredo Kansa at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.
La